Radio.
It's 7:31 this morning. You're very welcome along to OTB AM. We're here with you until 9:30 this morning. If there's anything you'd like to get off your chest, you can tweet us using the hashtag OTBAM, or you can leave a comment on whatever stream you're watching. If you're watching this on Facebook, or if you're watching this on YouTube, or indeed if you're watching this on Periscope, we're monitoring all those. And we're going to be getting you a WhatsApp number to get involved with in the next couple of days as well, that we'll start putting up and publicising for you as well, if you want that, if that is how you want to get involved in the conversation. We're going to talk about Villa last night. We're going to talk, well, I suppose it's really Leicester and Villa. We're going to talk about the FAI. We're going to talk about Jack McCaffrey. We're going to talk about everything else that's happening in the world of sport with a rugby hit as well, where myself and Eoin are going to pick the Ireland teams that we would pick for the Six Nations.
So the reason why we aren't Ireland head coach slot is what we're calling it. Yeah,
exactly. Before we get to all that, though, the big story overnight is that we now know the identity of 3 of the independent directors. There was a little bit of... I had a query whether or not there was going to be 4 independent directors and an independent chair, but in total it's going to be 4. So the independent chair has been appointed and is getting into business pretty quickly. This was the person that we thought it was going to be, who comes from a stockbroking background. We're going to get the full details on who he is from Vincent Wall, the group business editor here, a little bit later on, to just explain exactly what his background would be and what he's going to bring to it. But the other 2 have got interesting and diverse backgrounds as well.
Like a human resources element to it. You've got Liz Joyce and Catherine Guy, who are the other 2 appointed members, 2 independent directors, alongside Roy Barrett, who, as we knew yesterday, was going to be the independent chairman. And there's a number of different strands to both of them. And I think at the front of the Irish Times this morning, the line about Catherine Guy that really stands out is that her parents would have taken the sample of Michelle Smith back in the day, the famous sample, of course, and that's just something that kind of sticks out as well. That's an interesting tidbit. But the reason why they were appointed, obviously, is because of their business acumen and their association with, like, an unbelievable CV that they both have, and something that would probably go down well in any organisation in Ireland, let alone a sporting organisation. Like, I'd be very interested to hear exactly how hands-on they're going to be and for how long they're going to be that hands-on for. We'll get more detail, as you say, from Vincent a little bit later on.
Yeah, so Catherine Guy is a former managing partner at the legal firm Byrne Wallace. She's the chief executive of Sixt Leasing, which is the car leasing company. So obviously there's a legal background and a business background straight away that you understand is going to be very useful to an organisation which is ravaged the way the FAI is. And the other appointment is Liz Joyce, whose background was in HR. Liz Joyce was initially involved, I think, with Concern in their HR department, moved from there and then ended up at the central bank. So again, at the central bank in HR, there is a huge governance aspect to it, because, you know, you're dealing with the financial policy and the running of how the banks are supposed to run. And that's, you know, there are rules and regulations around that. There is a lot of red tape, and so that's somebody who obviously comes in understanding exactly the type of candidate required in a business and in an organisation to be able to deal with all of the different things that you have to deal with when you're going to be in the FAI. Now, what's interesting is that there's speculation from the Irish Times this morning that Niall Quinn has been tapped to be at least an interim CEO by the new independent chair, because there's a connection there in the past. It's believed Quinn is reluctant to become the chief executive, that he wants to do something in a voluntary role.
Like, I guess there's kind of 2 different elements to it. First of all, you've got the Niall Quinn element to it, which we've been speaking about for years, really, that even before things started to get a little bit messy for the FAI in March last year, there was always talk about a clear out of the FAI needs to be done, Niall Quinn needs to be installed. So this isn't anything new, really, but then this is given kind of a concrete base because of Roy Barrett, who's got a close relationship with Niall Quinn by all accounts, was cited in one of Niall Quinn's recent reports, and they've been closely aligned, and I think Barrett will be well behind the idea of Niall Quinn coming in. So this is what comes back to the question, like, how long in the ideal world would these independent directors last for? How long would the project be? And does Niall Quinn just be part of this temporary solution that will actually set the groundwork for a permanent solution? You'd like to hope, but maybe his views changed a little bit. Like, I'm sure 12 months ago, Niall Quinn was saying to himself, "God, I'd never want to be involved with that basket case of an association." And maybe that is kind of the view that is out there at the moment. You'd like to think that, or you've suspected that has probably changed over recent months, or certainly over recent weeks, when things have started to look a little bit more hopeful, especially with the pace that things have started to get cleared out at the FAI.
Yeah, look, I think that you've got to sound cautionary notes about all of this stuff because of the number of different investigations that are ongoing at the moment into the FAI, and because of the absolute difficulties that they're going to face raising money, that there will be job losses, that the sponsorship deals are all kind of coming to an end. So a lot of stuff has to happen for this to be turned around, but at least you have competent people with a diverse background who are coming in with a bit of wind in their sails in terms of there's a desire within the organisation for change, there's a desire outside the organisation for change, and now you actually have the government in a position where if a deal is done, they're going to be the ones who are forcing things along, and UEFA have no choice but to accept the fact that either this organisation goes bust and UEFA pays for it, or the Irish government and the Irish people guarantee it, and we help the organisation to trade out of its difficulties.
I'm sure it's been spoken about and it has been mentioned, this whole policy that UEFA have of no government interference allowed. Is that going to come back in the end, and UEFA are going to give the FAI a stern telling off? You suspect the answer to that question is very much no, because as you say, they haven't had to inject as much money as the Irish government may have to inject.
Well, they have at the moment. They're on the hook for more money than the government are.
At the moment, they are.
Yeah, so they probably do have a right to say, but I think obviously it's like good money after bad, or are you looking for a partner in this? And so everybody kind of steps in. And UEFA can't be looking at this and going, oh, this is perfectly well run.
Yeah.
You don't need any outside influence here.
But the UEFA money is obviously future earnings. It is stuff that it is cash that the FAI would say that they had an entitlement to earn one day or another. But drawing down those funds as early as they've done is obviously a disaster.
It's not great business practice, is it?
It's not.
How are you living for for and what are you going to do at that point?
Maybe everybody in the FAI just really believed that the world was indeed going to end due to global warming in 2 years. So doesn't matter. Just take the money now. Just inject the cash right now.
All right, let's tell you what's coming up on the show today. So, going to bring in sports headlines now in just a minute. The FAI director, a bit more detail on that. Vincent Wall's going to join us at 7:45. Top 5 stories of the day. Going to hear from Declan Bonner, who's saying that he might not be able to field a team in the pre-season competition this weekend, given that so many of his players are playing Sigerson. Irish Rugby 23s. We picked full 23s, our replacements as well. The ego on that. Sport news at 8:35 from Tom Malone. Stephen Kelly's going to join us in the studio around about 8:45 and to parse through exactly what Spurs need to be doing at the moment in the transfer window and how well or otherwise Jose Mourinho has started. And then Deal or No Deal is coming your way at 9:15. If you've any transfer gossip that you'd like us to address and put to the oracle that is Phil, then get it to us now. You can use the hashtag OTB AM. I'm going to bring you through the
OTB AM.
So it's never great when you're starting with the front page. It's the front of the Irish Times, small headline there, and it is beside the plane crash in Tehran. FAI chair to tackle significant failures. So that's the Jack Horgan-Jones story. Roy Barrett said there is a serious job of work to be done to address the very significant failures which have beset the organisation in terms of its governance and its finances. The new board will now deal with this task with urgency, working collaboratively with stakeholders. And so you want to make sure that those stakeholders do include, obviously, the grassroots of football. Sorry, I should do the sports pages, shouldn't I, as well?
While you're doing that, I'll have a look at the back page of the Irish Daily Mail. Andy's dilemma. Farrell is feeling the early heat with the loss of Joey Carberry. Confirmed yesterday that Joey Carberry could be out for up to 4 months. McCaffrey backs McShane's Aussie switch, meanwhile, and Ian Acho to the rescue. Leicester won, Aston Villa won in the Carabao Cup semi-final first leg last night.
Munster hoping Hanrahan ready for Paris as Carberry suffers setback. And there's a picture of Graham Rowntree at training as well. Pro 14 player rotation could give provinces boosts over French teams. That's Sean Sullivan's column there. It's knockout, it's massive, it's huge, but that's European rugby. This is the Johan van Graan chat. And then McCaffrey looking forward to a new chapter under Farrell. And he says Cluxton is gung-ho to play again. So, does that change things?
Change things that he's going... No, because he was always coming back.
Do you think so?
The first time when my confidence wavered yesterday was when I picked up the newspaper and I saw Tommy Carr saying, yes, I suspect he is coming back. Then I realised it was actually up for debate. Top of the morning to you. Back page of the Irish Daily Star. Harry and Beggan. Solskjaer to plead for transfer funds after Maguire is ruled out for 2 months. Barrett to lead the FAI, as we've already mentioned. Cluxton gung-ho to play on. And Nacho to the rescue for the Foxes.
The back page of the Irish Independent this morning is Murray can rise to Racing challenge Van Grant. So I suppose we've been focused all week really on the issues around the 10 position for Munster, but I guess if your 9 isn't playing as well as you want him to, then you'd be a bit concerned about that too.
For sure, especially if somebody like Ben Healy is going to be installed at number 10, you'd imagine that it's hugely important for a starting out half to have someone beside him who's in a decent run of form.
So, is starting Ben Healy actually the best course of action when you think about it, right? Because Hanrahan is coming back off an injury, has had no game time, fully fit. It's a hamstring injury. We know hamstring injuries are different on a case-by-case basis, but generally there's a lack of confidence straight away on a hamstring until you've built yourself back up to full speed and full pace. Is that the scenario you want your 10 going into a game in Paris in? Do you want somebody who hasn't played 10, really, who's a centre, playing 10? Or do you want somebody who's a 10, who's like, come on, put me in, coach? You said you were in a YouTube wormhole this morning.
Yeah, I was watching a bit of Ben Healy at last year's under-20 World Cup.
How did it go for Ben Healy?
Yeah, it went very well.
At the under-20 World Cup.
You had Aussies or Kiwis, I couldn't really decipher the accent, going crazy in the commentary saying...
Bit racist.
It is, just completely, totally. I'm a complete bigot when it comes to those two countries in particular. They're just completely glorifying Ben Healy and what a World Cup he was having. Played a beautiful reverse pass. I think it was against Italy. Again, you know, it was blue jersey. It could have been Italy or it could have been France. Again, once again, getting into this wormhole of not being able to decipher. But he looked amazing. Like just his ability with the ball in his hand is exceptional. And I know you're judging it at literally underage rugby, and it's a totally different level. But the reason why you're a star at underage level is, and why we get so excited about these players, is that they will one day become senior stars. You will have to make your debut at some stage, and like. Is there more of an expectancy for you to shoot the lights out when you're at home to Ospreys in Irish Independent Park, for example,
yeah, there is.
than you are at Land Defence Arena?
And who are you going to be playing with in that game?
Like, there you go.
You know, it's not guaranteed that you're going to be playing with the first team. This is your chance to step in and be in the first team. And also, if you're the coach and you're currently getting a little bit of heat from a lot of different angles, which gives you the best... look, we put a young guy out and we gave him every opportunity and we backed him. It didn't work out, but we're going to keep backing him because he's our guy. Like, I'd be more inclined to go, yeah, come on. No? It buys you time. It buys you, and everybody gets excited about it.
And when you come off the back of the pitch and if you get beaten, the narrative is, well,
what did you expect?
What did you make of Ben Healy's performance? And Van Graan can say, well, I was actually quite encouraged by his performance. Fortunately, things didn't work out for him today. I know I'm putting like a lot of words in mouths here for an event that hasn't even happened yet. No. But like that's how these things tend to happen.
The flip side of that is the Ireland-England game in Twickenham before the Rugby World Cup, where
someone gets shattered.
Yeah, well, and I got to think, right, clearly Ross Byrne was not shattered. He would have been just fine after that, because he could have said, well, I mean, the forwards were not really there today. The paper-thin effort's the wrong word. The paper-thin achievement of that forward pack against that England pack kind of left me in a bit of a dodgy scenario here. So, you know, maybe if give me a platform, I'm going to play well, which he's proven ever since. So the confidence thing is like, this will be a major setback for him for months and months and months. It's like, well, no, it won't. Next time you play, stick him against the Ospreys in Independent Park, let him run a game, and he's going to be fine.
Yeah, like, I'm not sure, was it you kind of making the comparison to like a green bar of energy? It was with Killian Clark the other day with regards to fitness. I think the same thing kind of works with confidence, as in it's not a green bar of confidence that you kind of slowly top up. Like, it can be sub-zero after getting hammered, and then the next day in a game away from all the fanfare and you play well, suddenly it's right up near the top again. One thing can completely flip things when it comes to confidence, I would have thought. So yeah, I'd be on board for that. Over the last couple of days, I'm starting to think that actually starting this kid at 10 in this big game at the weekend is a brave but correct course of action. Well,
it totally depends on the fitness. Like, we're not getting hour by hour updates on JJ Hanrahan. And if he's totally fine, if he's running full pace, and it's absolutely fine, then go for it. But like, sticking Scannell in and not giving the kid the chance to play when actually maybe Scannell is your best option at centre, and then you're actually giving somebody who we think has the potential to be a superstar the opportunity to be a superstar. And I think everybody will get behind that. So there you go. I don't think anybody should criticise Van Graan if he picks Healy at the weekend and goes, yeah, we're going for him. And this is all them slowly building up to it. Front page there, in at the deep end, Van Graan backs tip Tyro Healy to do something great. So obviously in the press conference, that's exactly what you're going to say. But the fact that they're talking about it, I think you would hope they're leaning towards it.
He does look particularly young as well for a young fella. You're never in doubt as to whether or not he's a young fella stepping up to the mantle. But like, I'm all for it. I think it just makes for a more spectacular front page or back page, I should say, on Monday morning after Munster have done the business in Paris.
Yeah, I think that's what sport is about. If he gets that opportunity, that's just the way sport works. It's an opportunity for somebody to do something great. We took him to the Ospreys game in round 1 to get the feel of the squad, and he was in the warm-up in every game. Then starting the game against Edinburgh, he was in the Connacht 23, but JJ just played so well, and it was tight in the back end, so we didn't put him on. So there, sometimes there's a phrase: "You're only one injury away from having a great team." Like, maybe this guy is actually their best out half, and that's exactly what they need. Get him in, get him 15 games this season. Next year he's just starting 10. Joey Carberry can go back to fullback, and away we go.
I was wondering where that sentence was going to go. I was wondering whether you were going to say fullback or Leinster at that point. Back page of the Sun, it says out for Harry Maguire, another United blow. He's ruled out for a month. Fed up gaffer, Ole meanwhile ready to axe flop Jesse after gutless City performance. And Joey Carberry out, you'd imagine, for the duration of the Six Nations. And still in with a shout is our headline on Leicester 1, Aston Villa 1.
Big controversy brewing in English racing at the moment. The front page headline on the Racing Post is BHA vet to examine Altior after Henderson fails to scratch star from Kempton. The BHA, British Horse Racing Authority, has revealed that Altior has yet to be scratched from Saturday's Sylvian Aquaconti chase at Kempton, and called on trainer Nicky Henderson to clarify Altior's participation in the interests of fairness and transparency. In a statement last night, the authority said it would be sending a vet to Henderson's 7 Barrows Yard today to examine the two-time champion chase winner. Henderson had tweeted on Tuesday the Star Chaser would not run on Saturday, with the trainer expanding on his reasons in a blog with stable sponsors Unibet. So he's given information out on Twitter, given information out on his blog, for which presumably he's getting paid, but hasn't scratched the horse from the race just yet. So a bit of I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed when it comes to the racing. Come on.
London Times, England leaves Anderson for last few tests. That's James Anderson, who of course played a crucial role for England in their test win in Cape Town. He's going to miss the remainder of the series. Saracens, meanwhile, faced a 70-point hit, but it was decided that such a thing wouldn't be done because that would not be in the spirit of the competition, because of course what Saracens did was perfectly in the spirit of the competition and didn't deserve a 70-point hit. And this is a great story. Brands calms Everton fans. So the Everton director of football, Marcel Brands, held talks with a group of angry supporters who attempted to confront the club's players at the training ground after their FA Cup defeat to Liverpool. Imagine that, showing up to training and there's a lot of fans and there's a director telling them to stay away for a moment, and you can't actually tell the players what you think.
The Daily Mirror there, back page, painful. Maguire facing a lengthy spell out with torn hip muscle. Fergie and Ed Woodward stunned by Derby thrashing. Well, I mean, Woodward probably should have seen it coming. Kel hell for Villa. It's a picture of Kelechi Iheanacho's goal to give Leicester a 1-1 draw. And
it is that picture on the front page of the Daily Telegraph sports section. Bold from the blue. Super sub Iheanacho rescues Foxes.
And the back page of The Guardian this morning is lack of moral leadership. FA urged to drop live cup deal with betting companies. This is the story in the UK that almost all of the games in the FA Cup were live on various betting websites at the weekend in the UK, when only 2 games were shown on terrestrial TV, and it has sparked an outcry saying that this is a dangerous path that we're heading down. So it's 7:49 this morning on OTB AM. We're turning to the big story of the morning next. Newstalk business editor Vincent Wall is going to join us to discuss the appointment of the 3 independent FAI directors after these.